that mean to you guys when I read that back to y'all? For those of you just joining, Adam, and where's Jyoti?
I'm here, but my camera for some reason is not working. Sorry.
Okay. So on page 32, Gary talks about in life, one of the toughest obstacles we can face is the difference between how we see ourselves and how others see us. So what do you guys think that like, how does that resonate with you?
So with me, I'm Allison. I'm out in upstate New York. And for me, as I had expressed, it's age, technology. So that's something that I have to overcome because it's really, in my mind, really, I think, it just doesn't, it's how you feel. So it's something I need to overcome.
Cool.
The perception. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyone else want to share?
I think it's a huge blind spot issue.
Okay.
I see it as a blind spot issue. We don't know how we come across. We don't understand our own conditioning and belief systems, which impact at various different levels the way we come across our verbiage, our presentation, and things. Mm-hmm. And that has a significant influence on how we think, how we react, and how we even present ourselves, to be short. And trying to understand that is huge because you don't even know that it is something that you can handle. You don't know it can be changed. So we need a mirror of some sort. And the mirror is the people's reactions, but we still need that. We need to be able to understand that it's a presentation of ourselves that's causing that reaction, and so on and so forth.
Cool. Thank you guys for sharing. Yeah, because when Gary states this is because someone asked him, "What are you doing here? You're in management. You're not a real estate agent." And he's like, "Oh, really?" And so it's true. And it goes back to perception is interpretation, how we interpret things, how we see stuff, and also how we see ourselves, right? So when we compare ourselves to others, and we've all been guilty of it, like, oh, they have a more successful team than I do, or they're this or whatever. Others are going to see us the way we see ourselves. So that whole, philosophy on how you see yourselves is how others, they're going to see you. It's really pretty what am I trying to say? Relevant in that. Not only did Gary talk about it, but we all talk about it on our coaching calls, even, how others see us. So he talks about the game, right? And if we go to page 34, we feel personal mastery is best pursued through a thoughtful analysis of the game and then relating that new understanding to personal circumstances, your market, your strengths, and your weaknesses. What does that mean to you guys? Like, whenever I read that, his words to you, what do you guys take away from that?
Can you read it one more time?
Sure. So he talks about the game, right? That, mastering the game. And so one thing that he said that stood out to me, and there might be something that stood out to you guys, and I'd love for you to share, but for me, it was, we feel personal mastery is best pursued through a thoughtful analysis of the game. And then relating that new understanding to personal circumstances, whether it's your market, your strengths, and your weaknesses.
I'm not sure if this is where you're wanting us to go, but I just came out of teaching for 4 years, and the latest research in teaching is all about gamification. and the psychology of you give yourself permission to try more extreme things and fail, which often leads to more success. So thinking about real estate careers as a game rather than a win everything or lose everything type of game has changed everything for me personally.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else?
I'll share. Hi, my name's MREA. I'm from New Jersey. I think it's really hard for us to know how other people perceive us, but we can look at the statistics of the business and we can gauge the game and how we're doing with the statistics, whether it's in our community, whether it's following up with our SOI, whether it's, whatever it's going to be that way, we can see how we measure up that way. Because it's going to be hard to know how people perceive us. I have found you don't get a lot of feedback in this business because again, in the offices, sometimes there's a lot going on, but I can analyze statistically. So that's my thought.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else?
I'll go. Adam Reed,
Hey,
North
Adam.
Carolina. Hey, good morning. Yeah, I think it's the game of life, honestly. I think this is not just a business conversation. I think that, I think it's more relevant to just, how am I going to be today? How am I going to show up?
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, he talks about that those who are high achievers, that they've mastered their game, and so it's really taking a look at what others have done. And he talks about don't reinvent the wheel, right? What others have done and shadowing, mimicking, mastering what they've done. Their game, what have they done, those that have gone before us, and really taking a look. And he's put it all in this book, in MREA. He even says you need to realize that people have lived before you, and you might be right to slow down for just a second and figure out what they learned on their journey before you start your own. So that's one key piece in mastering the game also. Really getting to know yourselves, getting to know where you want to go. When we put an emphasis on your goals and how you're going to get there, that's part of that mastery is creating your path, and also looking how others have created the path before us. What do you guys think about that? Now, don't everybody speak at once.
Right?
I am not going to dominate this conversation, but I am a gamer. I watch Twitch a lot. And that is how you get good at these complex games. I don't know if y'all have heard of League of Legends or Arena Valor and things like that, but I play those. What's up, Siobhan? Good to see you.
Good to see you.
I play those. And if you just jump into those games and start playing, you get your butt beat. But you watch some Twitch channels, you watch people who are good at it, you just mimic what they do, and next thing you know, you're ranked in the top 10%. So copying others works in the gaming world.
Yeah, the same in real estate, right?
So I'll say the same thing I have. First of all, Jason, both of my kids have League of Legends names in there. So yeah, my husband's very similar.
Mhm.
I have a colleague that her career started before mine. And there's a lot of times where I tell her, I'm so glad you've made so many mistakes because I get to learn from your mistakes instead of making them on my own. And so she's a great friend and mentor in that, like in the listing presentation, she's like, you need all of this stuff because they're going to ask you, you need this, you need that. So she's a great colleague to have.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Cool. So page 37, there's the first figure of which business has a more stable foundation. So he talks about, following the models, and models are there for us to do just such, model. And we can also, once we learn and we know what that model is and we understand it, then we can tweak a bit. Yet what happens is, and I think we've all been guilty of this, we look at the model and we go, okay, cool, I can do something better. I'm gonna pay for Zillow leads, or I'm gonna do this, or I'm gonna, add this on, when you're not quite there where you should be, or adding someone onto your team when you haven't finished the foundation to create a team. And so it's a really great visual for those of us that are visual, to see that if you follow the models, then you can add the creativity on top of it. Once you know the models and you really know it so well and you've mastered it, then you can add the creativity on top. But if you start with creativity first and then you put the model on top, that's when it's not stable. Who of us has experienced that? Cool. Beth, would you share an example for us?
Hi, I'm Beth from Denver. Yeah, I think I've done this over and over, where I think I can just keep doing this without using the models. So I don't know that I can think of a very specific thing other than I just wasn't following the model. So I'm just constantly trying to get back to it, and reading this, starting MREA over again has been amazing. Reading it, it's funny, you're in different places every time you read it. And I'm so glad we're doing this to get me back to where I need to start again.
Awesome. Good. Anyone else want to share?
Yeah, I'm just, oh, go ahead.
This is Karen. I'm in Maryland, and Beth, I'm where you're at. I've been doing different creative things and not seeing the success that I want to see. So I thought, let me do the model. Let me start from scratch and do the model and see where maybe this can lead me into the success that I'm looking for. So I'm kind of like where you are, Beth.
Awesome. I love the vulnerability and how open you guys are. This is awesome. Allison, did you have something to share?
Yeah, I'm actually in a similar situation, and I've read this book before, and I noticed, like, I'm trying to create very creative, put in a logo, and immediately I look at this logo and it's like, there's no way that it's the same that I want to do today. So I'm in the same position as the other two ladies, and looking to get a toehold again and getting back at it.
Very cool. Awesome. Thank you guys for sharing. And on page 38, moving on, he talks about how we've got our natural ability and the achievement ceilings. And so this is probably one of my favorite readings, this section, because most of us, and I would say everyone on this call, you guys have the natural ability. You wouldn't be doing what you're doing if you didn't. And, Gary goes on to say that lots of natural ability can lead to overconfidence. Likewise, lack of natural ability contributes to low confidence, so much so that many never even attempt tasks that appear to be outside the realm of their abilities, their natural abilities. The truth about ability is that it is neither set nor predetermined. However, it can be developed or it can be wasted. He says natural ability can only take us so far. No matter how gifted we may be, each of us will eventually hit our own ceiling of achievement. When I hit that ceiling of achievement, whether it is a high or a low, how will I break through? It's when you start adapting the model, he says. The more you adapt it, the quicker you're going to break through that ceiling of achievement. So how many of us have hit a ceiling and we're like, oh, how do I break through? And then as your coach, I take you back to the fundamentals. I'm like, let's just go back to the basics. let's go back to the basics, get to our database, do our lead generating, create the customer service, the relationships, hiring the right people instead of just hiring quickly. Who all has been guilty of?
Me too. I can see the ceiling and I'm not able to hit it. That's my problem.
We're just getting started. Jyoti is new to my schedule and she's got the drive, determination, and commitment. So I'm excited to see where she's going to go. So looking at 39, share with me what you guys see and how, what this means to you. Who'd like to share?
I'll share. This is me over and over. Keep doing the same thing, get the same results. I know that with my abilities, the way I'm working, I hit a ceiling and I have to keep adjusting and making changes to that. So this year was a big year for me because I hired Teresa to help me. That's a change to get back to the foundation. What do I need to change so that I can do more than I've done before?
Awesome. Thank you, Beth. Anyone else? Okay. So let's move into the 3 L's of real estate. So I've had some clients who are buyer heavy, and that's totally okay because we get started in this industry and some of us tend to go heavier with buyers than listings. And the goal is to be heavier with listings. Okay. And this little section right here tells us why. So the 3 L's of the millionaire real estate agent are leads, listings, and leverage. So he talks about leads. Everyone has 2 jobs. To succeed in real estate, you must have clients. And in order to have clients, you've got to lead generate. So he was, he talked about when he first got started, he did not want to lead generate. And then it became clear that if I wasn't any good at lead generation, no one would ever know what an educated and knowledgeable real estate professional I was. Share with me, what does that mean to you guys? Like, how does that resonate with you, or how can you relate to Gary's fear of lead generating?
I think we've all had that salesperson that's a little too pushy, and probably a lot of us are trying to stay away from that. I know for me, that's my biggest thing is how do I stay genuine and authentic, and keep that relationship business going, because that's my first priority, versus just constantly, I'm a realtor. I want to buy and sell I want to help you buy a house, I want to sell your home. That's it.
Yeah. Geneva?
Sometimes it's rejection, like I'm a super sensitive person. So it's not wanting to be rejected. But, I always try to remember, okay, come from contribution. And sometimes I make my database calls and I don't even ask for business. I just call and check on them because it's not all about trying to get something from somebody. That will come. They know when you really care about them. So yeah, and you've given me some tips that I think makes it easier, like you did the 50 people that you have for care touches. I mean, that people just love that. And I always get something from that. So it's a good feeling too, to give back.
Yeah, I think it's our mindset around lead generating. How do we choose to lead generate, right? And I've been really pushing this home with you guys, doing meaningful conversations. 3 to 5 meaningful conversations. And then you have your lead, that is lead generating, yet you also have your lead generating where you're following up with leads, you're doing open houses, following up with those leads, that sort of thing. But when we're calling and we're lead generating, we can have fun with it. We can make it not just like, oh, here I am, I'm calling to try to get business. No, I'm calling to let people know how knowledgeable and educated and how much value I have in the real estate field for them.
And that you care.
Yeah, and that you care, absolutely, 100%, 100%. There's so many agents out there that they just make it your number, you know, next.
Mhm.
Slow down and take the time. That's what counts. Listings. So listings, and this is something that I've, you know, communicated with all of you guys. Listings are high leverage, maximum earning opportunity in our industry. When we have listings, we have the market. So, and even talks about, here's the thing is like what separates the two is the amount of time when you're working with a buyer or a listing. So a listing specialist can personally obtain 15 to 25 listings a month, where if you're working with a buyer, you can only work with 7 to 8. I mean, the difference is huge, huge. And the mindset around how many listings we want to take, that's also something that we're going to work on, because anything is achievable. We just got to make sure that we have the right leverage, which is the next section. You know, what do you guys think about whenever you read that? How much having a listing, the potential of earning income, how much more income you can earn working listings versus trying to get as many buyers as you can. How does that resonate with you guys?
Because it allows you to market. It allows you to have something to talk about, because, you know, the listings just give you more business just automatically.
Yeah, he says it. He's like, if there isn't enough, if that's not an incentive that you can triple your income by just really focusing on listings, to consider how listings provide lead generating platforms like direct mail, ads, signages, and open houses. In fact, it is a fact that being in the listings business begets more business. And the research shows that every one listing properly marketed should generate enough leads to produce a minimum of one buyer. Okay. So leverage is huge, and leverage, having the right leverage will allow you to focus on just getting listings. So when you get to the point to where you've got more leads coming in than you can handle, that's when you look at the leverage piece, right? As far as hiring a showing assistant or buyer's agent. So the 3 questions that he talks or that he gives us is who's going to do it, how will they do it, and what will they do it with? He divides it into 3 categories: people, systems, and tools. So what is that like? So reading this section, and he also talks about, you know, paying for that right hire and looking at what he could lose potentially versus, oh, if he pays him $60,000 and for the year, the last time he paid someone $30,000, he's doubling what he's going to pay this new hire. And when he broke it down to see that if it wasn't a fit over a couple of months, his loss would only be, you know, $3,000. Yet when he hired the right person, they grew his business, and actually he had more profit. What do you guys think about that when you read that? What was going through your mind?
Well, Teresa, I gotta admit, I haven't read it because I've been on vacation and I've been taking care of my mom and my granddaughter. However, I totally agree with it, because I've had people that I've hired and thinking, oh, it's a cheap hire, that's great, but I got what I paid for. And yeah, when you have the right person, it's first of all, it's a peace of mind, because you know things are going to be done right. It's worth everything. I mean,
yeah,
you can't even pay them enough because the value is there.
That's a mindset. And what I would really like to do is we've got just 3 minutes left. The action plan, I would love for all of you guys to do. And on our next call, I think we're going to need a little bit more time because I do have a special guest coming. I would love for you guys to really start thinking about how, you know, when you think like $1 million, you're going to earn $1 million, net $1 million, and receive $1 million. So I want you to think $1 million, earn $1 million, net $1 million, and receive $1 million. I really want you guys to think big. And to just quickly summarize the myth understandings, I also want you guys to go through each one, there are 6, and I want you to write how or if you've ever related to that myth. The first one is, I can't do it. I've been there. Until you try, you can't possibly know what you can or can't do. So I want you guys to write myth number 1, I can't do it. Where and when have you ever felt this in this career? Myth number 2, it can't be done in my market. I hear that from, I don't think from many of you guys, but I've heard it from a couple of clients who are in a very challenging market. And it can actually, because others are doing it. So how are others able to do it and you're not, right? So you just may need a new approach. So I want you guys to write, it can't be done. When have you ever felt that? And how would you change that? Okay. So each myth, it would take too much time and effort. I would lose my freedom. It's too risky, I'll lose money. My clients will only work with me, only I can deliver quality service. Having a goal and not fully realizing it is a negative thing. So what I want you guys to do is, this is gonna really open your mind, okay? And this is the first step as creating awareness. I want you to write when you felt that way and how are you going to change it, or how did you change it, okay? So when have you felt that way? And how did you change it, or how will you change it? Okay, and on our coaching calls, because we've got a month till our next meeting, I want you to share with me. I want you to email it to me before, okay? And if you've not changed it, then we're going to change it. Okay, the mindset work. Yes, Allison.
Are you going to be writing this down somewhere so we can respond properly, or is this on a certain page?
This is on page 49.
Oh,
The MREA. There's all 6 are listed right there in a.
oh, thank you. Okay, I must have missed that.
So it's
Can you
all
repeat?
there.
Could you repeat?
Yes, page
call to action?
49. What I want you guys to do is I want you to read the myth, and I want you to write when you have felt that, right? I can't do it. I felt it whenever I wanted to move into the $1 million price point. I can't do that. I'm not a luxury agent, right? That was a mindset. Until you try, you can't possibly know. So what I did is I went out and actually locked $1 million expired listings. And guess what? I started getting them. Okay. So myth, when has it ever shown up? And the truth, how did you change it? Or if you haven't, when will you? Or how will you? Either way. Okay. How did you change it, or how will you change it? This is going to really help me get to really see what your blind spots are and let us work on it. Okay. What do you guys think about that? Share with me some takeaways and ahas before we wrap this up.
My
I
big
think,
takeaway was,
Go ahead.
oh, sorry. Leverage was last. So you actually have to have a system, a process, a game to leverage. And until you have that, you can't. Maybe you can, but eventually it's going to fail if you try to hire your way to success rather than model the way to success. That makes sense.
Following the models, absolutely. When you have more leads than what you need, right? The first hire is an assistant. And then when you have more leads than what you know what to do with, then that's when we look at hiring that showing assistant or buyer's agent. Who else?
For me, going back and
I'll go
starting
ahead.
over.
Oh, wait, let's let Beth and then Adam, you go next.
When I started over, I think I've read this before. I don't know how many times I've read it, probably at least 5 times. I always was just going in it at, I don't want this big, huge business. I'm working this business, the way I want to work it right now. And I really only wanted to focus on earn $1 million. and that was the first thing that hit me reading at this time was, don't do that. you gotta go into this looking at the whole game, really, to create a big business.
Yeah.
So it's exciting for me to start over again with a whole new perspective of mindset.
Very cool. Adam?
Yeah, so I wrote down this morning in an affirmation that people want to hear from me, and goes back to confidence and lead generating and just picking up the phone and calling. I feel like that a lot of agents get into the, I don't want to bother them, then don't bother them. And but I feel like that connection is what I'm missing. It's what they're missing. And it's just up to me to pick up the phone and call.
Awesome. Very cool. Who else? Okay.
I'm just gonna say, I'm just happy to go this deep, because it's actually been a long time since I read the MREA. I used to read it like at the beginning every year, like December, try to gear up. Sometimes you get so overwhelmed and you get so busy that you forget to go back to the basics, because you're just trying to handle that next transaction, that next transaction, that next transaction. So I'm like super excited to have to go back to the MREA and really digest, dissect it and discuss it and hear other people's viewpoints. So I really need this. So I'm excited that you are doing this. And I didn't do my homework, by the way, but I'll be prepared.
You've got a month to read and catch up. And yes. So we're going to, because I really want to chunk this down with you guys. I don't want to say, oh, let's finish reading part 2, because part 2 is a lot. And I want to take the economic model just like on one call, right? So our next call, if you can have pages 67 to 103 read. Okay. Our next call is in November. And then we're going to start doing probably every 2 weeks, because I just want to be respectful of y'all's time. I know that you guys have so much going on, and you probably are doing a lot of other trainings and Zoom calls. So I want to make sure that I'm respectful of your time and giving you guys enough time in between to read and really soak in and take in the information. And so when we get to the models, we are going to dissect, break it down. And I am going to, like I said, give you an action item to do after each book call. So when we get to the models, you can guess what I'm going to have you guys doing. So for this one though, for this call, I want you to really get some clarity on where your mindset is. And I want you to, like I just asked, right? When have you, believed this myth, and what did you do about it? Or when, how did you, or how will you break that myth? Okay. Awesome. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for showing up and being the rock stars that you guys are. We're going to freaking kill it, man. People are going to be like, yeah, Teresa Kennedy's clients are like, in Gary's top 100. So that's what, we're going to get you guys there. Okay.
Thanks.
Or wherever it is that you want to go. So
thank you.
Thanks, Teresa.
Teresa.
You got it. Be well.
Ciao.